This week, I'm attempting to walk 250,000 steps to see what impact it has on my body. That's an average of 35,700 steps per day. I've no idea if this will be possible or not, but I should probably get on with it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Before this challenge began, I weighed myself and took measurements of different areas of my body so that I could do the same again 250,000 steps later. The next morning, I was up at 7:30 a.m. and I went for a walk immediately to get things rolling. It was a foggy morning, but I felt fine. I usually have pretty privileged mornings where I'm able to relax for an hour or two before I start working, so this was definitely a change to my usual routine. I am tired, but I am fine. It's just one step in front of the other, so walking is just such an easy challenge because you kind of just automatically do it. Yes, I was finding things very easy to begin with, but I definitely underestimated just how difficult this would be. Okay, and thus ends my very first walk of this challenge. I've been going for about 2 hours, 8 minutes, which is 13 kilometers, and my steps are about 15,500, which is just under half of what I need to achieve for the total day to stay on track. The negatives are my socks are absolutely sore because I went through some wet grass, and the bottom of my heels are a bit sore, so I think I need better footwear for the second walk of the day. I got back and confirmed I definitely need better shoes going forward. I just completed the longest walk my watch had recorded, all before my lazy 18-year-old dog had even gotten out of bed. I immediately weighed myself before washing my feet for dramatic effect, and then cooked up some well-earned scrambled eggs for breakfast. This is a pretty extreme challenge and I don't want to lose weight in an unhealthy way, so I want to eat what I do normally, but with an emphasis on slightly more protein, specifically 150 grams per day, to help prevent me from losing muscle instead of fat. I also started taking daily glucosamine to help my joints recover. I then needed to record a video for my geography channel. I'm feeling a little fatigued, so I'm not hugely excited about it. The recording went totally fine, but it was then time for my second walk of the day, as I still had another 19,000 steps to do in order to stay on track. This was a really fun walk, as I'd ventured down routes I'd not previously done. Despite the average British weather, it was very autumnal and pretty, and I even stumbled upon a tiny purple chair. Like, what's that about? You can see I was also supporting fully waterproof hiking boots, so I really wasn't messing around anymore. I'm approaching the end of the second walk of the day. I've done about 11 kilometers over the last 2 hours, and it was a very nice, fun explore, actually. Really enjoyed seeing some new public footpaths. In terms of steps, I'm going to end this walk with just over 14,000, so that's still a really, really good amount, and there's not really much walking left to do before hitting the daily 35,700 goal. I broke the record for my longest walk for the second time that day, and despite it getting dark by 5 p.m, I was still able to do 2,000 extra steps by walking my dog Kong that evening. Hello, I have just got home from my third walk of the day, and I have 35,900 steps completed. That means that I'm about 200 above the average that I would need to do each day to get to 250,000 equally. And it's only 5:30 p.m, so I'm probably going to do at least another 1,000 just going to the toilet and walking up the stairs and stuff. So things are looking very positive on day one. My feet really ache though, and I'm kind of worried about how much more they're going to ache when I wake up in the morning. That evening I had a delicious paneer curry, and after a tiring day, here are my day one stats. Keep in mind, active calories burned is not including the calories my body burns naturally. The next morning I was up at 7 a.m, and you can tell I was tired, but that was not going to stop me. I had steps to make. It is 7:30 a.m, and I am walking. My legs and my feet hurt a lot, but they're manageable still. It is manageable pain. It just feels like an ache rather than something that's going to cause an injury. What have I tweaked since yesterday's walk? Well, I've got a coffee this time. I've got an energy bar for some sustenance en route. And also I did a bunch of stretches before setting off on this walk. So I think I am ready for max efficiency today. Although it was quite chilly, my morning walk did go well. And after 1 hour of walking, I decided to have a break to enjoy some sustenance. That looks really delicious. Turns out I did not enjoy any sustenance, and I was about to realize that pausing my walk was a big mistake. Why did I stop walking? It feels so much harder to start again. I was definitely starting to learn that the best way to walk as far as possible is to just walk as far as possible without stopping. And you'll see how I alter my routine based on this as the challenge goes on. I also bumped into some very cute cows on this walk, though I did think things were about to kick off. Fortunately, I survived, completing a 2.5 hour morning walk with another 17,000 steps done and a new record broken. My weight was down by 1.2 pounds, so I celebrated with some poached eggs. But immediately after eating, I guess things started catching up with me, as I ended up needing a quick nap between walks. Just woke up from a 30-minute nap. No idea what's going on or who I am. Pretty exhausted in general, and hyped for walking for the next 2 hours, 20 minutes. Epic. Once I actually got going, this was another really nice afternoon walk. Despite my heels and ankles being in some pain, I got to explore new areas of a very pretty woodland that I'd not seen before. But I was already reflecting on how overly confident I was on day one. I am nearly 2 hours into this second walk of the day, and I'm thinking back to day one, when I confidently said, it's just putting one step in front of the other, isn't it? Because now putting one step in front of the other is no easy task at all. Literally every single step hurts and is a chore. Despite pain in my feet, I was still in good spirits. This walk came to an end with another 33,000 steps done. That evening, even though I'd already walked for 5 hours, I decided to do some strength training. The reason for this is why I'm also consuming a lot of protein. It's just to try and reduce the risk of my body taking away my muscle instead of my fat. I definitely felt fatigued during this weight training, but I got through it. And I even ended the day doing slightly more steps than I needed to. On day 3, I was up bright and early once again for more of the same. I did decide to tweak my strategy slightly though, and concluded because my afternoon walks feel much harder than my morning walks, I'll just walk for longer in the morning instead. So I've been going about 2 hours and it was going fine, about 12,000 steps done, so that's nice. Though the last 5 minutes, bit more pain. Yeah, my heel was now hurting quite a bit. You can see it's even impacting the way I walk, but more steps in the morning will take pressure off the rest of the day. I'm approaching the end of a very grueling 3-hour morning walk, but 22,000 extra steps, which is crazy. So very close to 100,000 total now. I broke my walking record for the 3rd day in a row. I did my daily weight measurement, and then I relaxed a bit in the afternoon because it was time to reveal my secret weapon, which you can't actually see because there's a plant in the way. But it's a treadmill. My secret weapon is a treadmill. That's right, because I was recording this in November, it was starting to get dark by about 4 p.m. each day, which makes 35,000 steps difficult to fit in. But if I can do those steps from the comfort of my living room, I don't need to worry about that. And this was about to be a great strategy, and then this happened. Secret weapon did not go as planned. Treadmill has stopped working after 22 minutes. So because I was relying on the treadmill, I hadn't left enough light in the day, and it meant I was forced to do the exact thing I was trying to avoid, which was walk around in the dark. It's not even 5 p.m. yet. If I'd done this in the summer, this would have been so much easier. I recorded a bunch of stuff here. You can't really see any of it. Hello, you can't see me anymore. But in order to try and kill a bit of time and get some extra steps in, I attempted to write my name with my walk route. So here it is. I think I smashed it. Give me a rating out of 10 in the comments. Thanks, everyone. Either way, 1 hour later, I reached my 35k daily goal, and here are my end of day 3 stats. It is day 4. It is 6:30 a.m. and I am walking. In terms of my mindset, I feel totally fine. I also don't even have any muscle aches in my legs anymore. It feels like now the only limiting factor in this challenge is just physical joint pain in my feet. Because even though I in myself have the energy to do 30,000 steps easily today, each step just hurts quite a bit. And I am starting to blister up in a few places, so that's kind of what's slowing me down. After about half an hour or so, the discomfort I was feeling kind of leveled out, and I was able to start enjoying myself. I listened to the birds. I spotted some British wildlife. I've just spotted a deer. Wow, it's like a David Attenborough documentary. And I decided since yesterday's strategy worked so well, I'd do the same again and just walk for as long as I possibly could. This was all totally manageable until I got to any kind of hill. So I'm currently going up a bit of a hill. It's not even a big hill, but it's doing me in. This, my feet were feeling at a manageable point, but this small incline, oh. But I made it up the hill, and I also surpassed a very cool milestone. I've got some pretty exciting news. So on this 3-hour morning 16-kilometer walk, which is kind of crazy in itself, I have done 20,000 total steps. But that is not the exciting news. The exciting news is that means in total, I've done 125,000 steps, which means I am officially halfway to completing this challenge. That is very exciting. It does mean that now all I need to do is everything that I've done again, but with pre-existing pain and fatigue. With this concerning realization in mind, I continued on my journey through several biomes, and about another hour into the walk, I was definitely feeling fatigued. I cannot physically walk faster than this, and I am still several kilometers from the car, so I may have overdone it slightly this morning. But I made it home after a 4-hour walk with 27,000 steps done before 11 a.m. I weighed myself and I was heavier for the 2nd time in a row, okay. And then after a well-earned relax, I was feeling surprisingly positive. Do you know what? I'm feeling pretty good. Just enjoyed some scrambled eggs. I had a bath for an hour as well. I don't feel tired like I did on day 2. I was just absolutely exhausted. You'd think I'd be more exhausted now, but it's like my body's just adjusted and I'm doing okay. My feet are aching, but it's manageable. And I myself feel totally fine. That afternoon, most of the hard work had already been done, so I had a leisurely forest walk with Kong. I was also sporting my Crocs because my feet were definitely in need of a break from the big walking boots. Now, you might be curious if I plan to do any running during this challenge, because that'd be a great way to get more steps done in a shorter amount of time. However, I decided against this, because not only is it more likely to lead to injury, but also because the increased strain in cardio is likely to contribute to more muscle loss. Walking is a bit more of a cheat code where you can still burn a lot of calories without putting loads of strain on your body. If I was doing 10 to 20,000 steps per day instead of 35,000 though, I probably would have done a couple of runs. Either way, my walk with Kong ended after an hour, and that night, to once again keep my muscles working, I did some bicep exercises. I've been running on like 6 hours sleep for the past 3 days, and I'm fine. It's weird. Normally I need those 8 hours, but here I am just not feeling tired. So I'm curious at what point it's going to start catching up to me. I feel like I've triggered some kind of survival mode in my body. Whether I'm in survival mode or not, here are my day 4 stats. Whew, we're getting there. On day 5, I officially required a lot of anti-blister treatment, and I set off on my earliest walk yet. It was 6 a.m. As you can see, the sun is not out yet. But I am. I'm also in quite a bit of pain today on the back of both my feet, and I'm hoping that my paracetamol kicks in soon, or this will be very difficult. Yeah, my feet were definitely feeling like they'd walked 140,000 steps, and the first 30 minutes is definitely the most difficult. But after that, once my painkillers had kicked in and my feet were fully warmed up, I was able to have a delightful explore around some more new areas. This wasn't my fastest walk, as I was on difficult terrain and my feet were sore, but I still had a really nice time, and once again got to enjoy some British wildlife. Though I didn't enjoy all the wildlife. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh my god. I did hit a cool milestone though. I am about 155,000 steps into this challenge, so only 95,000 left. This feels achievable at this point. Nice and on track, day 5. And if you have made it to this point in the challenge, please subscribe. Or check you're subscribed if you think you're subscribed, just in case. Would appreciate it. Thank you. I kept on trundling and eventually completed an impressive 5-hour morning walk with a delightful 29,000 steps under my belt. I weighed myself, I was officially back down. I hung out with Kong, who was acting like he'd just been walking for 5 hours. And after a break, I actually had enough energy to record another video. I had another chilled out evening walk and actually ended this day with less steps than the daily goal I was aiming for. Not that it was a big deal because I was already ahead of schedule. Anyway, here's those sweet day 5 stats. There does seem to be a pattern of me eating less calories each day. Surprisingly, it felt like I was getting a weaker appetite rather than a stronger one. Good morning, it is day 6, the penultimate day. As you can see, I was once again up before sunrise, and in a strange turn of events, I was wearing Crocs instead of walking boots. This is because I was experiencing too much pain when wearing the boots, and I didn't realize this at the time, but it's because my entire ankle was swollen all the way around. But I actually felt unstoppable in the Crocs. The lack of foot support was definitely going to bite me in the arse later, but right there and then, I was in a fantastic rhythm. It's really interesting how quickly the human body adjusts to stuff. Like, my usual routine for a few years now is wake up somewhere around 8 o'clock, have a scroll on my phone for about 15 minutes or so, then head downstairs, chill for an hour there while I have my coffee before I can really do anything. Whereas today, my alarm went off at 6 a.m. I got straight out of bed and had a sudden urge to walk for 20 kilometers. It's just the norm now. In all fairness to me, I did attempt to put my walking boots back on, but I very quickly concluded this was not possible anymore. So instead, I just kept on walking and waited for the blisters to come. I walked for a very long time on day 6, and towards the end, something magical started happening. The first bit of sun that I have had the entire week. This is the first blue sky that I have seen all week. It's literally just been white, kind of miserable. To be honest, kind of perfect for the challenge because it didn't get too hot, it didn't get too cold. But look, I actually have a shadow. I haven't had a shadow this entire time. I got so used to the plain white sky all week that seeing this sun appear really did feel special, and it felt like a little treat for me for nearly completing this challenge. There was a point on day 1 where I just got back from my 3rd walk of the day. It was pitch black outside, and I was feeling very overwhelmed, thinking I'd potentially set myself something that's simply too difficult. But here I am on day 6, and I have been walking for 5.5 hours with 27 kilometers complete and 35,000 steps done just today, and it's lunchtime. That's the amount of steps I need to do for the day already complete, and I feel fine. I don't feel tired. Yes, my legs are aching. Yes, I'm still in Crocs, but but I honestly feel like I could go for another 10 kilometers with ease. I walked for so long this day that my watch was literally running out of battery, but it was worth it because 6 hours 12 minutes later, I had done 41,000 steps already, and I'd broken records left and right. But at what cost? My feet were looking worse than ever. My weight was exactly the same. I was very achy for the rest of the day, and so delirious that I guess I forgot to film my little stats bit in bed. The final day was definitely the most beautiful weather so far. I only need to do 26,000 steps today because I've done extra on previous days. So to me, these days, that's a walk in the park. That's a leisurely stroll. I didn't even rush out this morning. It is 8 a.m. right now. I treated myself to a little lie-in. I actually got my math slightly wrong here. I only needed to do 23,000 as opposed to 26,000. I did bump into some escaped cows at one point, but other than that, this was a problem-free, easy walk. One foot in front of the other, soaking in the vibe. I was having a great time. I could have easily completed the entire 250k challenge in this walk, but concluded I'd head somewhere fancier in the afternoon. I ended this walk with a total of 16,000 steps. I weighed myself with my bedraggled feet, and I was actually starting to lose some weight. That afternoon, I headed to the lake to hang out with the ducks and finish my last few thousand steps. Time to enjoy my last 7,000 or so steps by a beautiful lake. How nice. How poetic. How delightful. While my swollen ankles, my blisters, and my aching heel were still present, they were not getting any worse. I'd basically just learned to live with the pain and barely even noticed it, meaning I was able to enjoy a very leisurely final walk. The weather was still absolutely lovely. 20,000 steps complete today, which means just over 3,000 left, which I guess should take about half an hour. And looking back, I'm glad my treadmill broke after 20 minutes, because it forced me to get out into the countryside and just enjoy nature. As the sun began to set, I took my final steps. This challenge sounded impossible and overwhelming when I first started, but now here I am just 7 days later about to take my last 3 steps. 249,997, 249,998, 249,999, 250,000 steps in just one way! This ridiculous challenge was complete, and what an amazing feeling of accomplishment this was. 250,000 steps in 1 week. For me, it was worth it for the experience alone, but other than ruining my feet, did it actually have any other impacts on my body? It's literally only been a week, and fat loss does take a few weeks to catch up anyway, so I think visually we're not going to be able to see any difference with my body in the before and after. However, I do have the tape measure so we can get into the details. So strangely, there is actually a visual difference. I seem to be narrower than when I first started, which I didn't really expect. Does this mean I've lost a bit of muscle mass, maybe? I honestly can't work out if the before or after looks better. When we look at me from the side, I think I've lost a little bit of fat in my lower belly, which does make sense. I am 2 pounds lighter, and each body measurement is a little bit smaller, apart from my thigh, which has grown by 0.5 centimeter. But I wasn't expecting to be able to see any difference, so this is really surprising. My calves also look a bit different. I'll let you evaluate yourself. Also, my toe turned black on day 9, so there's that. During the week period, I actually did 254,126 total steps, which accounts for any inaccuracies that might have with the Apple Watch. Also, here are some fun stats for the total week period. Very impressive. Well, do I recommend walking 250,000 steps in a week? Absolutely not. My joints just couldn't keep up. It's 2 days later, and I'm still waiting for the swelling around my ankles to reduce. Do I recommend doing somewhere between 8,000 and 20,000 steps per day, depending on your personal circumstances? Absolutely. Once you're in the routine, it doesn't actually take as long as you would think it would take, and I really do feel that most people will feel better if they end up walking more. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what challenge I should place on my body next time, because I'm getting kind of into this now. And make sure you subscribe so you don't miss whatever it is. Alright, thanks. I'm gonna go put my feet up.